And he ends up on railway tracks again. All slippery, so he can't stop. Luckily, he can change the direction before the track junction. But you can't get off the track either. And it's a long way to New York. Look who's driving the train.
Yep.
Since when did the Roadrunner get a locomotive engineer license? Now, I must warn you about this last Roadrunner clip. It's from after Warner Brothers animation closed in 1963, and Chuck Jones is now working for MGM. So this one, Clippety Clobbered, was produced at Format Films in 1966, directed by Rudy Larriva, who was also known for doing the Alvin shows. Well, it's a lot cheaper looking. See, that's something the Roadrunner would not do in a Chuck Jones cartoon. He wouldn't intentionally trick the coyote like that, because he got kind of out of character in these later cartoons. And then as if that weren't enough, this pretty much becomes a total rehash of the gag I showed you from Hairless Wolfe, the Bugs Bunny cartoon. Chases him back in the tunnel. Thinks it's the Roadrunner again. But nope, a real train. Warned you the animation was cheap. They don't even say that's all, folks, at the end of these later ones. Just have that weird theme music. In fact, in 1987, Operation Lifesaver, a non-profit organization devoted to railway crossing safety, they partnered up with Warner Brothers to produce a PSA featuring the Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote for television. Right. Get off the track. The old Operation Lifesaver. Now here's the Donald Duck cartoon Barely Sleep. Humphrey the Bear has been kicked out of the cave all the bears hibernating in due to his loud snort, so he needs to find another place. It looks like another cave. But it's not. It's a railroad tunnel. With a caboose. Because the snow completely disguised the tracks, so we didn't know. And now it's completely all plowed off. In real life, after the train goes through and plows off the snow, all you'd see were the rails. There'd still be snow covering the ties in the roadbed. But now here comes another classic example about how dangerous railroad trestles really are. From 1981's The Fox and the Hound. How Todd is trying to get away from the hunter, Amos and his dogs. Of course, the animals in this aren't that anthropomorphic, so they don't know much about trains. Onto the bridge they go, and predictably, the inevitable train's right on time. Poor Chief wasn't so lucky, but Todd was small enough to duck underneath the train between the rails. If you believe it or not, Chief was originally supposed to die this way to justify Copper's revenge against Todd afterward. But the Disney executives didn't like that idea, similar to when they vetoed killing off Trusty, Lady and the Tramp. Producer Ron Miller said to the story crew from Roxy Hound, "This is Disney. We can't kill off a character." One of the storymen objected, "But he gets hit in the kisser with a freight train." Ultimately, the producers got their way. This movie had a really troubled production. And next up here's a clip from Scooby-Doo, the old episode Decoy For a Dognapper. For context, Scooby had been posing as the decoy for a series of Dognapper, hence the title Decoy For a Dognapper. So the Dognappers decided to send Scooby to his doom on a handcart.
Hey, that was Scooby! Hey, Scooby-Doo!
Looks like they're driving on the track!
They should have wasn't up here.
But now they're not. It was just yet another typical Hanna-Barbera animation error.
Ready for the show? Ready to get ready? And here I go!
Another one of those. So many trestles in these clips.
As soon as we slow down, Scooby, I'll get you out of that.
And right on schedule.
What's that? Sounds like the Midnight Express.
It's even got the Santa Fe markings on it.
It is. I hope this is a break. It's rusty.
Yep. Yeah, this is back when Scooby-Doo had a laugh track.
His colors from his car.
In real life, that's a difficult feat, trying to outrun the train.
That train is awfully close. There was a switch by the crossroad. Come on, let's go.
It's the old high-speed rail reroute bit. Luckily, nobody was killed. Luckily, there were no railroad officials nearby, but if there were, they probably would have thrown the switch for Shaggy and Scooby. In the 80s and early 90s, it was somewhat commonplace for cartoons to end with, syndicated cartoons especially, to end with like a safety tip or life lesson segment. Inspector Gadget, one of the very first animated shows produced for first-run syndication in 1983, was one of them. And in one episode they did taking place on a train, they talked about railway safety. I'm including it because of Brain the dog. Someday I'm hoping to make a first suit of him.
Trains sure are fun, aren't they, Uncle
That's a very young Cree Summers penny.
Observe the rules. Don't run in the aisles or bother other people.
And never play around railway tracks.
And always obey the flashing lights and crossing boundaries at railway crossings.
And never ride between cars.
Because they did just that earlier in the episode. Gadget thought that Brain was a mad agent when he was disguised as a waiter.
Or on the roof.
And they did that too, with Gadget's new Gadget magnet feed.
That's for sure. The best place is inside the train. Believe me, I know.
And here are the Gadget feet. The Gadget magnet.
But I can still think of better places to be.
Arguably, though, Deke's most famous end of episode Safety Tip and Life Lesson segments were the Sonic Says segments at the end of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog in 1993. And they did one that relates to trains.
Raise your claws. Ready? Set. Ready. Did you feel that? There's a train coming. Come on, you big coward. Go.
Another railroad bridge, too.
Nice over the top.
Yeah, if you get trapped, you have two choices in a railroad bridge. Either jump off or get run over.
Well, I hate to see you in my friends wiped out with some dumb days. Play it safe. You ahead. Don't end up days.
Squid, I want you should sneak up on him, grab him, and hold him while I tickle him. You annihilate him. He knows I will.
They could have just told him, hey, Bobby, I think you should get off the tracks. It's not safe. But they don't.
Don't make him worry, Bobby. It's not me, Squid. It's some seedy sparrow coming to beat you out, so don't look around. Squid, I'm gonna whack you to Hong Kong. You don't let go of my wings.
And of course, that train was going super fast. And again, there's a problem, like how sometimes with modern trains, like when they're behind you, the only loud part is the horn and bell. So like if you're walking on the track and trains come behind you, you might not be able to realize the train's right behind you until it's too late to get out of the way. Again, trespassing on railroad tracks is still illegal, so I advise not to do it. Now here's another similar kind of edgy 90s cartoon, Rocko's Modern Life. The episode Driving Mrs. Wolfe, when Virginia is trying to teach Heifer's adoptive mother, Rocko's trying to teach Heifer's adoptive mom, Virginia, how to drive. And already, Virginia's not doing a very well job. And of course, once they come up to tracks...
Brakes, let's see. Yeah, that's one of these pedals, right? Ah, here it is.
I know, right?
Up on the tracks. You don't have to yell when you yell at me to get on faster. Train is coming.
They should just get out of the car! Unload the seatbelts, abandon the car! But they don't. Yes. Although in real life, the seatbelts would not help. You could still be injured or even killed. This points out another thing. You may notice that in this shot, it looks like the train's going very slow as it's approaching the crossing. But then once it actually hits the vehicle, it's going very fast. Unfortunately, this is a real-life optical illusion with fast vehicles, like be it cars, trucks, trains, planes. When seen from the front, it looks like they're going actually like slower and farther than they actually are. So it's on a railroad crossing, it's virtually impossible to accurately judge an approaching train's speed and distance, and has caused quite a few crossing accidents that way. You're like, it looks like it's 10 miles, it looks like it's going like 15 miles per hour. I could beat this, drive across, bam!
Yeah. Let's take a hike.
A hike?
Yeah, come on. There's no trains coming.
Wait, Foxy. Sly! Oh, I better tail him before he gets in more trouble. It's kind of dumb to hike along the train track.
It is!
Look at my friend happily following the tracks, which would be
Another one of those!
a bridge.
A bridge. Bridges are made for crossing.
But those are only for trains.
Oh,
And of course...
bridges don't have sidewalks. If a train were to come... Oh, Sly
Just like Stand By Me!
Yeah.
1. Get hit by the train. 2. Jump off the bridge.
I think I'll go for choice number 3.
Lucky there's a river underneath.
Well, you got the picture. The trouble with being around railroad tracks is getting yourself in a place where you can't get away from the train. Take this railroad tunnel, for instance. It's only wide enough for the train. Like the bridge, there's no sidewalk.
And it's even worse because you can't jump off the tunnel.
Out of my way, boy.
But of course, does he everywhere?
Hey, wait, Foxy. I was just telling our friends.
Yeah, tell me all about it later. I'm in a hurry.
Fine, Sly. If you're caught in the tunnel when a train comes,
What an odd clustered train schedule they must have then.
you can't run or ride fast enough to get off the train.
Great cartoon character. I'd be dead as a doornail.
Yep.
Great line. Dead as a doornail if I were a cartoon character. And that's all too true, how they point that out.
I hear a lot of accidents can happen to people in cars.
Right again, Foxy, but they don't have to happen either.
I'm all ears, Birdie.
You need to know about railroad crossing signs and signals. Let's say you're riding along in a car and you come upon this railroad crossing. You see is a sign with an X.
Also called a crossbuck.
Stop and wait if a train is coming.
Wow, this one has a gate and red lights and bells.
But nowadays, almost all of them in the United States do. Like more and more crossings are having those kinds of signals installed. There's one in Taunton that used to just have the signs, but then they put in the gates, red lights, and bells.
Now, Foxy pal, what do the gates, red lights, and bells mean?
Stop.
Yeah, I thought you'd say something like it means hurry and get across or slow down.
Well, now he rises up.
They mean stop hearing.
Now he's
Very good, Sly.
All
But
right, Birdie. Now let's say my car up and dies on a railroad track.
he drove around the lower crossing gate, too.
There's only one thing to do. Get out fast. Don't try to take anything with you. Once you're out, run away from the tracks.
Glad I was out of the way.
And you'll notice that I don't think the car just up and died there. Sly Fox clearly intentionally parked his car on the track and let the train hit it. Either he probably just wanted to see what happens when a train hits a vehicle, being how the cloud is, or he could have been trying to commit insurance fraud.